Okay, we're looking at determining capacity in this section and the next couple. Capacity is sort of a version of volume, but it's the amount of liquid or amount of the substance that fills in a three-dimensional object with a certain volume. So it's measured in things like milliliters, quarts, gallons, depending on metric or imperial. And so it's not actually telling you the dimensions per se, it's just how much capacity the object has for holding the substance. So in the try these, it says, what is the measurement system for each unit? So basically, is it an imperial measurement? Is it a metric? So remember, metric has the in capacity is based around the word liter. And basically, if you remember that, that's metric, and in capacity, and everything else will be imperial. So milliliter, that's metric, because you've got that there, so that's metric. Liter is metric, and then gallon is imperial, as is quart, as is pint, as is cup. So if you do any cooking, recipes will often have things about cups, teaspoons, tablespoons, sometimes as big as pints and quarts, and that's imperial. Now a lot of recipes, because in Canada we technically our unit of measure is the metric system, so you will see some newer recipes that will be all in metric, milliliters, and that kind of thing. And so there's usually, in most measuring devices, it'll show both, unless it's an older cup or that kind of thing. Okay. So it says, Nikki works in a convenience store. She sells different types of beverages. Most containers show the quantities of liquid they hold. She wonders if these are the capacities of the containers. And yes, it will be, but she wants to know, are they accurate? That is always the key. So find an empty drink container, fill it with water. So you might use a can of pop. And if you take a look at it, it says that the measurement on most cans of pop, I think it's 355 milliliters. Anyway, if you don't have one with you, we'll talk through it. You're to fill it with water. What tool could you use to measure the amount of water in your container? So you could pour it into a measuring cup. That would be the most common. If you're at school, in the science lab, maybe you have a beaker. Okay, measure the capacity of your container. It should be about 355 milliliters for a pop can. If you have a juice box, drinking box, this one on the left says it holds 200 milliliters of juice. How can you verify? So we can calculate the volume and then convert it to capacity. Because remember, 1 centimeter cubed is 1 milliliter. So what is a reasonable estimate of the thickness of the material used to make the box? I would say, just let's be easy, 1 millimeter. So what is the interior? So inside is where the liquid's going to be, the apple juice. So we have to think about, okay, inside there, what would be this dimension? Well, we'd have to subtract 1 millimeter here and 1 here. So that would be 50. Same thing here, subtract a millimeter at the top and bottom, so that would be 1/16. And here, that would be 36. So what are the interior dimensions of the drinking box? So it would be, so we just go 50 by 36 by 1/16. And you can get your calculator out. So 50 by 36 by 116 and 208,800. Okay. Now, oh, that's millimeters cubed. Oh, I don't know why it has two spaces there. Oh, I guess that's for the calculation. Okay, so let me copy this out here. So this is length times width times height. So 50 times 36 times 116. On the next page, what's the capacity? So 208,000. So we're going from millimeters cubed to centimeters cubed. So remember, 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So if we cube that, you can always calculate it yourself. So that's 1,000. So, but we're going from millimeters cubed to centimeters cubed. So we want to divide by 1,000. So that moves the decimal place 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. So that's 2. Okay. Or you could multiply, I divide it by 1,000 or multiply by 0.001. And so then you get 208.8 centimeters cubed. And then remember that 1 centimeter cubed is equal to 1 milliliter. So this is 200 and basically 209 milliliters. It said it had 200. Usually there'll be obviously a little bit of space at the top. It usually, whenever I use one and put the straw in, it does spill a little bit, but there has to be a little bit of space in there. And so likely it is exactly 200 of liquid in it. Okay, so now you can work on the practice for this section and then head to 4.9.